I can tell people confidently, if you and I have issues, they're coming up.
We handle it for sure.
I will bring it up to you
On the
right to
spot.
your face.
Yep.
You'll bring it up to me, and we take care of them without shouting at each other.
Within minutes.
Yeah. Okay, hello, and welcome back to the MC Fortune podcast. I'm joined here with my buddy, business partner, and friend, Taylor Cobb.
Hey,
and I'm
man.
Zach Martin, your host. Dude, I wanted to kick it off by giving people a recap on what's life been like for the two of us as business owners, entrepreneurs, people that deal with the ins and outs of it full time. Sometimes more than full time, it feels like, right? Dude, I call you Mr. Push It Through because you deal with the tough parts of the business sometimes when you need someone like you that can focus highly, get them done, and do that. Talk to me about your headspace, man, when you're in that mode. Like you just did one today where it was tough, man, but I don't know, dude, you got something else going on.
Yeah. Well, we've had some tough ones, man. So we, when things get tough, I just think about how we got to get this done. If there's a way to get it done, we push it through. And
highly focused,
calm, collected.
Yeah,
and
I was telling my wife about you. I said, it's crazy. He's like in a different headspace because I'm dealing with it now emotionally and some of the stuff and the stress. He's not in the same way, but when it's over, all of a sudden he looks at me and he's like, dude, that was like crazy. I'm like, yeah.
breaks through.
Dude,
yeah.
I was living it.
Yeah.
Welcome to the land of the living.
Yeah.
Like I was there.
Yep.
What do you think I was dealing with while that was going on?
Exactly.
So we, dude, like every deal comes with its own problem. Some are worse than others. A lot of times it's not what is going on, it's who you're working with. And a lot of times that's the issue. So, be careful who you're working with. Other than that, things have been moving good. We're on acquisitions. We're on Dispo. We've got some new systems in place. We've got some new marketing strategies that we're working on that have been working well for us. And we're moving forward, and we want to still come out here and inspire people and help them. And today, and I know this is just a little bit different, but what we're going to do is we're going to give our audience a little bit of a background of who is MC Fortune. Like, what is Zach Martin and Taylor Cobb, and how did these guys get to where they're at? I think everything has a divine reason. Everything happens for a specific purpose, and that's why God put us here. But today, what we're going to do is you're going to actually interview me.
Yeah.
You're going to ask me some questions. You're going to go in and kind of dig into my background and how you and I sort of led up to meeting each other. And the next time we do this, I'm going to do the same thing to you, man, because people got to know who you are.
Yep.
Anyone that you listen to, there's a very, very, very good chance you know of their background, how they started, how things went, right? And that's important, right? People kind of got to know. I think it makes them relate a little bit more to you when they realize you've been through it yourself.
Yeah, and it gives a bigger understanding of why you are the way you are now and what has inspired you to do what
How'd
you
they
do.
get there?
Yep.
So I'll let you take it from here, man.
For sure, man. I'm excited.
Sit back and let you freaking run it, man.
We're gonna learn today about the man, the myth, the legend of Zach Martin.
Okay, dude.
Yeah. So that's awesome, man. So everything starts from the beginning, right? So the way that we grow up builds who we are at the end of it, right?
Our experiences, sure.
Our experience build our character. So what did Zach Martin's childhood look like, and how did that shape you into becoming a business owner, an entrepreneur? Because this isn't the normal path. Most people don't take this road because it's rough. It's not easy. So what was the childhood like to get you there?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, in full transparency, and I know it's not always everyone's intention to listen to that, but it was actually pretty tough, right? So we, one of 4 kids, my mom was extremely sick growing up, brain issues, multiple surgeries. They thought she had all sorts of issues that they couldn't always find out.
Mm-hmm.
My dad worked nights, so we didn't really see our parents that much.
Right.
And quite frankly, we kind of raised ourselves. So my siblings and I are very close because, you know, we had to figure it out together, right? And it was a tough situation. I actually lived with someone for a handful of years, and you know, she's very close to me still at this point in my life. But so it started kind of rough, right? People knew our situation was rough. They knew that we were a family that needed help in a lot of different ways. They kind of understood that my mom was under the weather or not always present. She was kind of doped up on medication because there was just so much going on all the time. So recognizing that as a young kid, right, it was very easy for me to see and say, gosh, you know, you go around other families and you notice, well, that's not how everyone's household is, right? Other people have a lot of time with their parents. They have a lot of, support. It's just easier, right? And everyone has their own things. I certainly am blessed and I'm grateful for what I came from, and I'm not here to complain about it. But that's what it was, right?
Yeah.
And so we came from a really tough financial situation, health situation, spiritually, it was even tough for us for a long time, right? And then we just, I got to a point where I was like recognizing what regular good households looked like. And that for the time being, I wanted to just be like a regular upper middle class person with like a good, healthy family and a good job and a way to provide for them and all that stuff. So, through those years of growing up, I recognized the hardship at a very young age. I kind of hid it from people. If someone were to come to my house and see what was going on, they wouldn't have known that by meeting me.
Right.
Because I was very, I didn't want to give people that information, right? I didn't want to trust anyone. And people kind of thought I came from a normal situation.
Because
right?
of how you presented yourself.
I dressed myself well based on what I saw. I did my homework. I was a good student. I was, above average in a lot of different things. And so that kind of threw people off when they realized my situation. So I came from a tough home, but I think coming from a tough situation as a young upbringing just made me realize how freaking grateful I can be as an adult and with my own family, and how, you see me with my kids and stuff, and it's like, look, man, the way I am with them is because of kind of how I came from, right? My dad wasn't there, he was gone doing whatever he was doing, and he was working and he had everything else going on. My mom was sick and it's not her fault, right? But she wasn't there.
Right.
And my siblings were just trying to do their own thing. So what I first realized is that I wanted to make a lot of money. And the reason I wanted to make a lot of money, it was nothing about financial freedom or time freedom or anything like that. It was just to get out of a tough situation. And to me at the time, a good financial situation was like $60,000 a year.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Because where I came from, that was good money. You got a couple of vacations a year. You lived well. You had a nice household. Like, I just needed out of where I was at. Right. And going to where I'm at, a lot of people that come from tough homes, there's two ways you can look at it. Way number one is that you can say, well, yeah, of course my life is messed up. My life's messed up. Look where I came from. Look how I got my upbringing. Look who I was around. Of course I don't have any money. Of course everything's tough. Of course I don't have it. Or you can do it with option number two. And these people say something like I do. Yeah, I'm out of that situation. Yeah, my life is abundant. Look where I came from. I had to dig myself out of the trenches. I didn't have any support to go to college. I didn't have any financial support for a lot of this stuff. I didn't have any guided, mentors at the time that could give me the path to this. I had to find it on my own, but I wanted it so bad.
Right.
And that's what I think people need to understand. I say this a lot, but you have to have a compelling reason to do everything that you do. My compelling reason was I wanted out of that situation. I wanted to help my family get from it when I was old enough, right? I was very mature for a young age because I had to be. That's the way I look at it. I had to become mature. I had to be ready. I had to, do all these things. And I just wanted to make sure my family that I have currently never had to go through anything even close to that.
Right.
And they can be grateful for it.
That's huge. And so you went into, I need to get just enough to get me out of this situation.
Correct.
But eventually, obviously, that transitioned into I need to go the road to success, the road to business ownership, and that only comes with what you mentioned, which is the compelling reason. What gets you to say everyone else is just going? It's the same thing, right? I'm going to do my years through high school. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to get a decent job, and then I'm going to work that until I retire. And then you have people like us who throw that out the window at some point and say, this is really tough. Everyone's telling me not to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. So what is that thing for you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing for me is that, obviously, like you said, I went a different route. My wife always tells me all the time, she's like, you're never satisfied. And I used to kind of feel bad about that. I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, I mean, I get here and I earn it and I do well at this place, and then it's like not enough. You know what I mean? And I need more. And it's not about me. It never has been about just me. It's about the people that I love and care about. Like, I can't do enough for them. I can't give them more. I can't provide them this. I can't do this with that. And I started to realize early enough on that money is out there to earn. All you need is the right skill set. You need to be resilient in whatever you do. You need to find people that can help you get there. You need to have a tremendous amount of belief in yourself. As soon as you slip that belief in yourself, as soon as that falls down, you're in trouble. You better grab those thoughts, dismantle them, and tell yourself, listen, whatever you were trying to say to yourself, it's not true. You are capable of doing way more than what society tells you, than what your family could have told you. Your family tells you what they know, okay? It's not anything personal. They tell you what they know. My dad would tell me to go get a job at a retail store and do what you have to. But that's what he knows, right?
Right.
My other father figure that I grew up around, he'd tell me to go get certified and trained and college educated and provide value to the market that way. That's what he knew. That's what he did, right? But what I would tell my kids is you need to add a tremendous amount of value to the marketplace and go find it because it's there. I want you to love what you do. I want you to be great at what you do, and I want you to inspire others with what you do. So that's part of my why, is because I have to do more than what I ever thought was possible, because I know it's possible.
Yeah.
Because the potential's there, right? If it was something more simple like, oh, I just need $250,000 a year because of X, Y, and Z, and that would get me there. There's people out there like that, and I totally respect that. But I can tell everyone on this podcast right now that's never going to be enough for me.
Right.
And it's not about me loading my pockets and being selfish, because I love people, I care about them, and I want to be able to take care of my family. I want to take care of my mom when I need to take care of my mom. I want to be able to take care of my kids and their kids, and that's how I want to be.
Yeah.
Right. And so,
absolutely.
So that's part of it. But the other thing is, like, it's not as simple as, I know you come from the same thing, right? It's not as simple as go to do the college thing. I did that, like, hand to God. I went and did it. I was a good student. I took advanced placement classes. I did well in them. I went to college. I had transfer credits. I did good in college. I graduated, with a 3.7 GPA cumulative. Like, I did fine.
Yeah.
But what you start to realize is that if you're built differently, people can only compensate you so much. They have to put a value on you. And when you're someone like me or you who are entrepreneurs, nobody is going to value us as much as we value us.
All right, we say that all the time.
It just isn't possible. And no one's going to care about our business as much as we care about our business. This is why, you and I are good business partners, because we agree and we share that vision. But that's definitely my reason. It's for my family. I honestly, man, like you know me, like I'll wear $15 sweatshirts for 10 years.
Yeah.
I'll wear cheap clothes. I don't care about any of that. I'll go on mediocre vacations just to enjoy the time.
Yeah.
It's not about that.
Right.
I got to have it there for things that I can help people with. And it's about stability. It's about a lot of things, but it's really not about me.
Right.
And I love being able to be that person because I know it would inspire and help people from similar situations.
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of have a similar transition because we both had jobs that were just placement holders for the moment, but we transitioned into what would be entrepreneurship with sales. And so how did sales have an impact on you really having that transition to entrepreneurship?
That's a great question because, for a lot of people, sales, and definitely for me, sales actually I fell into it. Okay. I remember actually when I started looking into the sales thing, it wasn't purposefully, but I was at a job. At the time, it was a sterile processing job, which no one on this podcast knows what that is. They're basically the people that clean the surgical instruments for doctors and don't get paid well enough.
Right.
I'll tell you a quick story about that. So I was actually going through this program in Greenville, South Carolina. Mm-hmm. And my wife supported me. She encouraged me to do it. Like, she was awesome about it. And I was going through this course, and I was literally not a semester. I'd say even less than that. Like if our high school had trimesters, which were like even shorter than a semester, I had like a trimester left to finish this program. And so I was just sitting there studying for a test. And one of the classmates asked the teacher, she said, "Hey, how much do you think we'll make?" Because I was assuming like 20 something an hour. And she goes, "No, honey, you're going to make $17 an hour max." Okay.
Yeah.
So what I did, and this is a true story, people you need to understand, this is how serious I was about what I'm getting into, why, and the amount of money and all that stuff. For me, it was about the money, and that was a stupid thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay. When I heard that, I about a few minutes later, I packed up my stuff. I walked down to the hallway. The lady who ran its name is Joyce. I walked into Joyce's office, and I sat down and I said, "Hey, I got to talk to you about something." I said, "Look, you guys have an awesome program. I get what you do. I think you're going to create some great surgical techs. I'm not going to do it." I said, I need to make a lot more money. I was thinking this was more than what you guys anticipated. It really was a placeholder until I got to where I wanted to be.
Right.
But that's just not going to cut it for me. That's not enough money. I was like, and I appreciate you, and I'm not saying this about anything other than it's me. Mm-hmm. I got to do something better. And she asked me, she said, "What are you going to do?" Instead, you got to have a plan before you go out and do this. I said, probably I'm going to get into business of some kind.
Yeah.
Or finance. Mm-hmm. So I told her.
Yeah.
And I come home, I told my wife. My wife had a freaking panic attack.
Right.
Right. She wasn't happy with me. I'll be honest about it.
Right.
But I was working at the hospital during this time because I was a sterile processing certificate holder. Right. And that counted for something. And she said, "Well, you need to figure it out." And I did, but I was looking through jobs, and I looked at high income producing jobs on Google. And what do you think pops up? Okay. Sales this, sales that, life insurance. And life insurance had advertisements all over the place. Yeah. Right. So I applied for this life insurance company. And of course, crazy enough, I got an interview.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I came in there. It was a place in just outside of Greenville. It wasn't in Greenville. Mm-hmm. Little outlet area, not a very big office. And I come in there, and the guy interviewing me is like 450 pounds and sweating as he's sitting down drinking his coffee. And he goes, "Well, here's what it's going to be. It's going to be, you're going to make some calls. You're going to set some appointments. You're going to close some opportunities. This guy made $400,000 a year. This guy made $300,000. This guy made $250,000. I make more than that. Yada yada. How committed are you to get this done and do this?" And I looked at him, I'm like, "I'll do anything.
Right.
I'll do whatever it takes. I'll be here early. I'll stay late. I'll do whatever I have to do." He said, "Good. I'll see you on Monday." Yep. Right. And so I fell into sales.
Yeah.
And it kind of trapped me because here's the reality. Is it that easy? the making that kind of money thing?
No.
No, it isn't. And here's the thing. Those guys did make that much money. But what he didn't tell me is that it sucked a long time. They had to develop a set of skills.
Yep.
They had to get really good at what they were doing. And once they were really good at what they were doing and consistent, then that kind of money came in, right? And so starting out, life insurance or just insurance in general, the failure rate of that is 92%.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
So I started off like that. Now, was it just making some calls? No. It was making a lot of calls. It was making 200 calls a day to set 3 appointments, okay?
Yeah.
Hung up on, don't call me, all the things that you're going to hear, right? Knocking on doors, people spitting at me, slamming the door in my face, telling me to go away. How'd you get my information? Don't come here again. So what I thought sales was for a long time was just a bunch of rejection and you have to fight through it.
Right.
What I didn't understand at the time is that it was about behavior. It was about understanding human behavior. It was about how to work with it, not against it. That there was a set of skills that you could learn. I think sales is 100% learnable. No matter what, I think anyone could do it if they just learn what you need to learn, right? Sales is a science. And so, long story short, I got into that. That's how I landed into sales. It was an accident. I'm happy it happened. I started the hardest way possible. Of course, they'll hire me, dude. It was 1099 commission only.
I was going to say that for those of you who don't know, life insurance sales reps, as long as you have a pulse, you got it.
You're hired. I guarantee you. You go in right now, you're hired today.
Yeah. As long as you don't have like a criminal background or
Well,
something.
even then, dude, they love
might even
it.
get you.
Right? Alcoholic, whatever you got to be.
Yeah.
So I started there, and then I got into a different industry a little bit. It was just auto home, umbrella and life. Like it was just a PNC company.
Still insurance though. Yeah.
It was insurance. And I talked to him. I was very honest with this guy. I'm like, look, I'm newer. This place I went to, they didn't train me. I was placing the blame on them, right? They didn't train me. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't feel confident. But look, I made a lot of phone calls. I set a lot of appointments. I will do this. I'm committed to doing it. I'll do whatever I have to. Like I got to take care of my family, right? And so he hired me, and he was a nice guy about it. He just saw that I was driven and willing to do it. But through that, I actually almost lost my job there because I wasn't, hitting where I needed to hit.
Right.
And I was down to myself and almost quit. And I know I talked about this a little bit, but it's a big part of it. So I almost quit, called my wife. She said to prove him wrong, basically, and don't do it. So I did. And I came back and I said, listen, just give me a month to prove to you. And if I'm not there, I'll remove myself. You don't have to fire me. I'll quit.
Yeah.
He's like, fair enough. Right. So anyways, I went in and I looked at Grant Cardone's training at the time, and I had a firm belief. I had this understanding all of a sudden. I'm like, holy crap, it's learnable. All I have to do is I have to listen to this. I have to read this. I have to, so what I started doing in a very short amount of time is I started buying books. I was reading a book every 3 days, right? I was reading books. I was listening to podcasts. I was listening to any sort of training I could get my hands on, all of it. Like, believe me, I was like obsessed because I had nothing to lose. Like I just like had my back against the wall and I had to prove everyone wrong, right? So I did that and I learned a lot, and I got to the point where I wasn't their best closer and I wasn't the best at handling every objection, but I was good at setting a lot of appointments, and I got enough going on that I boosted my sales a lot. Yeah. And at the end of that, he came in and talked to me. He's like, you're doing way better, keep it up. Let's just keep you here. And so I kept my role there. But what I really learned from that is that anyone can do it. I was horrible, guys. I was awful. Like I was the worst. But I was driven. I was committed to it. And I learned it. Yeah. And so sales taught me that I was irreplaceable in the market. Yeah. That's why it was so valuable. So long story short, I worked at, we moved back home. We went to my brother's wedding and just realized we wanted to be close to family. And just felt led to come back home. So we came back home and to Michigan, where we're at now. And dude, I had options because at that time I was crushing it at State Farm.
Yeah.
I was doing really good. I was confident. I was closing deals. When I got back to Michigan, I was a changed person, bro.
And you knew you could get a job
And I knew
anywhere.
I could get a job anywhere. And I had several options. So I'm not going to go into who all offered me a job or what.
Right.
But I ended up working at a local brokerage in town and did just fine. You know, I had to build my own clientele. I had to call a lot of people. I had to go out and meet people. All this stuff I learned. All learnable. Okay. Everything that I learned
Yep.
the right way. And what I realized was happening because I had gotten good is that I was capped.
Yeah.
And that was a problem for me because I'm not going to come to work and bust my tail and not, you know, have the ability to make as much as I want to make.
Yeah.
Right. I asked for an opportunity to do a little bit different of a direction there. They turned it down and said no. So I'm like, okay. And I, at the time, you and I had started doing some real estate stuff, but it wasn't what we do now. We didn't really know about it at that time.
Right.
We were buying rentals and stuff and that kind of route, but we were. And so sales gave me the confidence to move into that. And by the time we sat down together and said, hey, man, we look who's doing this wholesaling stuff and who they are. I was developed as a professional. I had a lot of, personally, I was developed a lot. I understood and believed in myself. You were at the same point after 5 years at this place.
Yeah, we worked at the same agency. Yep.
And so by the time we sat down and finally said, ooh, man, I'm ready to do this, I was so confident.
Yeah.
That's something I want to say to people is your confidence comes from what you've done. Okay. But you can get there if you're not yet. It's okay. You have to learn it, but you have to believe that it's not just you.
Your knowledge and, getting around people that are winning and putting yourself in their shoes.
And I couldn't
learning.
physically get around them. I got around their podcast. I got around their books.
Right.
I got in their head that way. And I just started to take all these things and you'd come in and talk with me and I got a new thing for you. Right.
Yep.
And we role played together.
Yeah.
I could tell you were committed. You were on the call with me every day.
Yep.
We were focused.
So we worked together for a few years there and we worked closely because we would work deals together in different, capacities. And so we decided to get into business together because we had worked well together. And a lot of people who start businesses with a partner, a lot of them don't work. Most of them don't.
Most
right?
of them.
Because the relationship's not there. They don't see eye to eye, whatever it is. So what do you think it is with our dynamic that created a good partnership and something that works very well for us?
Yeah. Well, I tell people this a lot because, you'll hear people say, don't get into business with your friends, right? Here's what's crazy. I messed around with my wife a little bit. He seems like a interesting guy. He's probably, whatever. I was just messing with her and saying, she's like, well, he's got the Grant Cardone stuff. And I'm like, well, I'll go talk to him, I'm sure he is. And I talked to you. I remember it was one of the first times I talked with you and I could just tell you were having a day, like we all have. And it's part of life, it's part of business and definitely going to happen. Nothing you can do about it, but you're having a day. And I remember just talking to you about sales and, techniques and stuff. And we sat there probably 30 minutes talking about that. And it was just supposed to be a quick hello.
Yeah.
So what I realized quickly with you is, okay, I'm on the same wavelength as this guy. He's right there where you can, when people are right where you're at and they want the same things. And it's why some people get married super quick. They're like, holy crap, I've been with a lot of people and I've never felt like this. But anyways, I tell people I didn't get into business with my friend per se.
Right.
I think we got into business together because of a shared dream, vision, and goals and became friends.
Yeah.
And that's different.
Way different.
Okay.
For sure.
Now, if I have a friend right now that I would never get into business with in a million years, but he's a friend.
Yep.
But we're not going to share the same ideas and goals and aspirations and beliefs. And it just never would work.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get into business with certain family members. I wouldn't get into business with so many people. And for the longest time, I just would have done everything myself. But our dynamic is different because you and I are on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
We share a vision and a goal. And a lot of times people get into business with each other and they don't actually share any of the same goals. They actually want two completely different things.
Yeah.
Right? We had a guy that we've done some business with, and he wanted to take his business and go just this weird direction. And I remember talking to you. I'm like, this is what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't align with that. It's not what I want. That's not what I'm, after. I just don't align with that. I can't. He basically offered us a business relationship, and we had to turn it down. It just didn't make sense. So the biggest thing is obviously you need to share a vision and a goal with someone. But it goes beyond that, right? Because you can share a business goal and vision with someone and just have a shitty relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. When you spend 5 to 6 days a week with somebody, okay, not just your wife, but a person, any person,
Yeah.
you will have tension.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
What matters is, do you guys have enough respect and a good enough relationship to deal with the tension professionally without tearing each other down and causing issues and having a personal whatever with someone? That's where it gets messed up too, right? Where people are like, gosh, I just can't stand this person, or this is starting to bug me. And, I can tell people confidently, if you and I have issues, they're coming up.
We handle it for sure.
I will bring it up to you
On the
right to
spot.
your face.
Yep.
You'll bring it up to me, and we take care of them without shouting at each other.
Within minutes.
Yeah, because I don't want to get in a shouting match with somebody. It's not even about whether you like confrontation or not. It goes beyond that, 100%. I think it goes to, do you respect this person, care about them and their family, okay? And do you want the best? Do we both want the best for each other? And I can say with 100% certainty that we do, and that's why we can handle issues. So
Right.
shared vision, the way you communicate with someone. Have you ever noticed that people that get divorced and people that have issues with their family and just issues with certain friends, that they literally cannot communicate in the same room at all?
No.
Like, they cannot have a conversation and communicate with one another.
Right.
They start freaking out. Someone starts over talking. They start yelling at each other, and nothing got handled
Too much tension.
because they literally forgot how to communicate with one another. But somewhere along the line, someone stopped caring about them, or someone got hurt here and it never got handled.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Or someone felt like this happened to them, or they got slighted and it never got talked about.
Yep.
And all of a
start to build
sudden,
resentment. Yeah.
you get resentful to someone, and you don't want the best for them. And you get to a point where you're like, I don't want to do anything with this person. I want to let this go. And I'm not a marriage counselor by any means, but a lot of marriages end this way because they get distance between each other. And the more and more distance you get, the more and more separation there is. That's why
Right.
people need to, go to church and read their Bible. Like, the more distance you have from God, the harder it is to have a relationship with God. It doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
So I think you need to have great communication, but also if there are things on your mind, if there's things going on, if there's something that bugs you, if there's something you didn't like, whether you like it or not, you got to bring it up and talk about it. Because what will happen is you will start to resent that person.
that's
The more
not
and
good.
more it doesn't happen. Hey, I felt like you did something here that made me kind of look bad.
Right.
And if that person's freaking out and not listening, see, one thing I'll always do is when someone tells me something, I'll sit there and listen for a minute, and I'll say, okay, let me look at what maybe I did. Because even though I didn't feel like I did that, maybe it came off that way. And let's address it.
Right.
Because I don't want to interrupt someone and then go, no, that's not true, F off, this and that. You'll never win an argument that way.
No.
Okay, someone's going to storm off and have issues. So that's the two main things with us, right? I'd say the last thing is that, I kind of mentioned it, but I really do think that you need to care about each other's families to some extent, right? And so the reason for that is because things are going to happen in life where someone maybe had a commitment to do something with you, especially in business, and it's just not going to happen now. Like you, something happened medically, something happened with the family, and you just can't be there. And if that person's like, if the other business partner is going to say, well, that's your problem, I still need you here. And that's like, okay, whoa.
Right.
You got to care about this person's family and see empathy through what's going on. You know, you and I have things come up like, okay, the, you know, my kid's in the hospital, my wife's in the hospital. I'm not going to be able to handle this. And we jump on it and we take care of it. And because we care about each other's families and we care about, you know, also each other, but we have to care about someone's family at some level and just understand, like, it's not just a person, it's a big deal, right? It's not just someone that you work near and you heard about their family. You got to be a little bit more connected than that, to some degree.
Right.
So that's what makes us different. I think also it's a little easier when you work with people that are open-minded and willing to listen and make adjustments and changes. Sometimes, a lot of times, it comes down to one business owner likes to make changes and the other one is just totally against it. So that's not good. So the reason a lot of those don't, you know, business relationships don't work out too is, unfortunately, the one person's just in it for themselves. You know, you cannot get into business with someone who operates at a level of even mild or moderate greed. Greed will kill a business owner and a relationship.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. If you have people that start counting your pockets when you're wholesaling,
Cut them
or
off.
it's like you can't even work with them at that capacity.
No.
So don't get into business with them in a legally, you know, binding contract where you guys have this amount of assets each, right? It's a big deal.
Yeah.
So a lot of people who get started, be very, very careful about the business partner thing.
Yeah.
Taylor and I have a great business relationship, but it's not normal.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen usually like that.
And we didn't jump into it like crazy. We had worked together in insurance for years.
Exactly.
Building a relationship based on business, based on sales.
And you know
based
when you
on
can
that.
work with someone and you can't work with someone. Unfortunately, sometimes you just can't.
And another thing that's kind of funny too that I think we're realizing happens a lot with us, especially as we get further into working together, and because if you have that core thing, you know, that core driven, like you're going towards that goal. When we go to make an adjustment, we'll like talk to each other on Monday morning or something, and we'll say, hey, I think we need to do this. And we're like, that's funny because I was literally just thinking we should do that, you know, make that adjustment because we're going the same way. So it's almost like we're both watching the same movie play out and we're saying, let's do this now. And we both know that's what's happening. That's where we're
That's
going.
alignment, though.
Yeah.
You know, that's alignment in a lot of different ways. So, you know, like the huge thing with being in business is that everyone needs to understand that the road to get there isn't always going to be just the same road, right? Getting there is the goal, but how you get there can change, right? And if you're dead set on one thing, I mean, when we first started out, man, we were like, we were changing things up a lot, but we had to because we realized, oh, this isn't going to work. Like we need to do this instead. Here's what I'm learning about this. So you just get new information, and then you're taking a side road, and then you're down the dirt road, and then you're back on the highway, and then you're, you know, sometimes it just takes a different path to get there.
But you're always heading in the same
You're
direction.
heading to the same goal. That's the alignment thing, right?
Yeah.
When you're aligned on that, and you're not dead set on the how, you're dead set on the what, right? It's so much easier.
Yeah.
You know?
And I will add one more thing. I think another thing that we do well that I think other business partnerships, if you're in one or you're getting into one, you should figure out is know how to rely on the strengths of your partner and let them do their thing. Like we do that so well where it's like I'm more of like the run and gun kind of guy where like something has to get handled right now. I got to go with that. And you respect it enough to say, now's the time to let him do that. And then there's times where I'm thinking I need to run and gun with this thing. And then I look at you and I'm like, no, we gotta stay focused. We got to do our thing right now.
Sometimes I'll put
this
you on
isn't
pause
that
for
important.
that. Yeah.
So it's relying on and like, okay, when we go to build out, or like, we have meetings where we build out where we're going or what direction we're headed, you're going to take a little more control on that meeting, and I'm going to kind of give my input, but it's you know how to structure that.
Right. I'm more of an implementer and strategist, right? I mean, that's the other thing I was going to mention with the business dynamic is, I mean, we have a lot in common, but we're two different people, right? I'm going to come in and be probably a bit more organized, right? That's my
Definitely
personality.
a bit more organized,
I'm going to have a lot more of a pulse on what we need to do for the day. I'll probably set up our calendar. I'll be involved and make calls with you. I'll do all that
for sure. 100%.
But I'm going to make sure that we are doing the things every single day that get us to our goal, and you're going to come in and just do it because you don't mind doing it. And that's big. But when I need to pass the baton to you is when the deal's getting a little heavy. Things are going south. We need someone who has just intense focus like yourself, who can grab that, handle it calmly, and progress the deal. And every big business has people like that. They're in the organization. Sometimes they're really well seen, other times they're not, but their role is tremendous and it's not replaceable because someone has to have the skill set to take that on. They have to have the personality, they have to have the focus, they have to have the emotional intelligence to know like when's the time to get worried and when's the time to not, right? And so that's a big thing that you add, and I'm a lot more opposite in that way. I might come in and say, hey, I think we need to have our VA start doing this. And you'd be like, yeah, I totally agree, but we're going to have it done.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to come in and say, hey, I think we target this, this, and this. And then when we make these offers, we start adding these things, right? And so that's more, again, that's strategy and implementation. Both of them are important, but someone needs to go in there and grab the football and throw it, right? And so that's where, when things get hot, a lot of times, and there's 20 seconds left in the quarter, you're going to grab it and do that.
Right.
Because that's a skill set. So that's a big one, man. But overall, you need to really just have people that can help you offset what you're not as good at.
Absolutely. Definitely. So talking a lot in this about, the path of becoming a business owner, becoming an entrepreneur. And we know that that's a really tough path. But when you get to not even the end of it, but just like kind of deeper into it, it's so rewarding. It's financial freedom, it's time freedom. But what would you say to the people out here that are watching in our audience that would like to take that path, or maybe they're curious about it, the ups and downs, but what would you say to them about getting started and doing that?
Yeah, I mean, well, number one, like know what you're getting into, right? It is going to be hard. There are going to be setbacks. You are going to be discouraged. You're not always going to know why something is happening. There's going to be days where you start to lose belief in yourself. And that's just part of it, right? So understand that and just know that every entrepreneur goes through that. That's why a lot of entrepreneurs, unfortunately, don't make it. I think if you look at any industry and anything, the most successful people are the most professionally developed.
Yeah.
Right. They're reading books. They're in pretty good shape. They they feed their mind the right things. They are thinking the right way. They know how to handle stress the right way. They communicate extremely well, and they're very goal oriented, among other things. And so, also understand that the skill sets that you need to be successful are out there. Number one, like we always say, like go find someone that's doing it. Why wouldn't you go surround yourself with someone that does and has done it? Don't start trying to figure it out on your own, right? It is extremely rewarding. It is extremely, it's awesome that you can be with your family more. It's better that you have more money. But understand that the road to get there is tough.
Oh, yeah.
And, I wouldn't have done it without a business partner. Heck no.
No, me either. Yeah.
Trying to do that alone, like that's what I mean. Get connected with someone. That's so much part of that is where you need people. Like you need the right people, but you need people. So just like understand that you're going to have probably some difficulties getting there. no, the other thing is, on this is just have a tremendous amount of belief in yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I was saying earlier, by the time we got into wholesaling, that side of my brain that wanted to doubt me
Yeah.
and say that things weren't possible, that was gone.
We both handled that.
I had that taken care of.
Yep.
If you can beat that curve ahead of time and just understand that you are capable, you can and you will do this and you will do great at it, and you show up every day and you write down your goals and you do your routine and you go through the things that you need to do, and you're doing the right things and you're meeting the right people, it all compounds.
Yeah.
Okay. If you ever read Atomic Habits by James Clear, what he basically is saying is that you can develop the things to do that are not always fun, but you can make it appealing. You can make it fun. You can make it an easy habit. It's going to take time. But once you just do even inch a little bit forward, and it compounds. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think certain people are built differently to be an entrepreneur than others, right? They see things differently. They want more. They've got a different kind of drive and ambition. And that's not to say that someone who necessarily doesn't have that can't do it. It's just not true. But you need to have a growth mindset. A growth mindset says, no matter where I'm at, I'm going to learn from every experience. I'm going to get better, and I'm going to perform at the top level. It might take more time. It might be harder to get there, but I will do it.
Yeah.
And I know I'm capable of it. And everything that happens that isn't necessarily in my favor is okay. I'm going to take that, become better. The other thing I'll say on this topic really quick is every person that gets into this needs to know when problems come up, when there's setbacks, take accountability of it. Okay? Total accountability.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't your fault.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is every opportunity can be, everything that happens can be an opportunity to become great.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, you can take everything and say, wow, that deal was bad. It just fell apart.
We do that on every single deal.
Every deal.
When we're done with it, we look back over the deal. We talk about every deal we do, whether good, bad, ugly. We talk about what happened, what did we learn,
different.
and what are we doing next time to either have that happen again or not happen again,
Right.
depending on how it went.
And as an implementer and a strategist, I have to look at it like that, right?
Every day.
How can I better it, make it easier, and do that? So I think, become just completely accountable for everything. Oh my gosh, that lady was difficult. Let me look at it right now. Let me look in the mirror and say, yeah, she was. What can I do better with those type of personalities, right? What can I handle a little differently? What can I put in place? Because it's so easy when you get tough agents or sellers or just tough people in general that you're working with to say, gosh, that person, this, that. And, it's okay to say that for a minute because a lot of times, there is some issues there. But at the end of the day, you can only control you. And what you can take from that is something valuable every time. And I think everyone can get something out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking extreme accountability helps you become a better person. And every successful person that you see out there does this. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
At some level, they do it for sure.
Yeah, they need to.
So, so you've come a long way. We both have. We're still on the way up, but we're
For sure.
We're definitely a lot further than we were when we started. A lot further than our childhoods, and everything.
God, yeah.
So, looking back at your entire life to what you know now, what would you change? What is, if there is anything to change, what would you tell somebody that's maybe in that position?
Yeah, no, that's a good one. So I know a lot of people would say, I wouldn't change anything because my experiences all led to this, which is true and totally get that. But let's be real for a minute. If I could change it, dude, I would have cut out years of waste.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would have probably not cared as much in high school. I'll be honest with you. I could have just done fine and
what I
not
did.
worried and stayed up late studying for stuff that I'll forget.
Right.
I probably would have skipped college. I mean, unless it was needed for a big sales job that I was getting into at the time,
Right.
I probably would have bounced from the college thing. It's expensive. I'm paying on it for a long time, and I don't use it.
Yeah.
Okay. The money I make came from what I learned. Now, I do believe in learning. I do believe in education.
Absolutely.
I do believe in bettering yourself and learning things and implementing. I think the way that people get told what to do in their life is go to, school, apply for college. College gets you a middle to upper middle class job. Good luck. Okay. Tell you a quick story. My wife and a lot of other people I know did that route, have these nice corporate cushy jobs, and guess what? Things get pulled out from under them. I know some other people personally who just lost big corporate jobs.
Yeah.
You can't control what someone does to you in those situations. You're still just applying for a role. You're applying for an opportunity within a role, right? And it's not yours.
Yeah.
It can be taken from you. It can be removed from you. It can be sideswiped from you. You can just lose it. And college doesn't prepare you for that.
No.
College doesn't prepare you for the realities of life, okay? And how hard it is to have a successful marriage and have good relationships and, how to communicate effectively. I mean, I didn't have a single class in college about how to effectively communicate with human beings.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? I had a communications class and it was giving 3 presentations throughout the whole time, useless ones.
Yeah.
Public speaking comes from confidence with speaking in general,
Yeah.
right? So like I would probably cut some waste out. I would take away some of the worries that I had. I would go in and I would start up what I know now sooner to give myself just a competitive advantage. I would have probably just looked ahead and said, look, I think I'll probably plan out the kids the same way
Yeah.
as far as that timeline. But I would have probably been there a little bit sooner, and it's fine. Like I'm 27 years old.
Right.
Okay. I'm not in a rush, but I did have to learn. Here's the other thing. Like, even though it's helpful and you learn the best this way, I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
And it hurt getting there. It was like really hard. And you have too. And we've learned the hard way together. But learning the hard way is not something you want to do if you don't have to.
No.
So I would have probably cut out learning the hard way on certain things because it would have caused me a lot of just better, understanding.
Yeah.
Now this is something you're extremely good at, but I would teach myself earlier on in my life how to deal with failures. Okay. I didn't handle failure well because to me, if I failed, it meant that I was a failure. Failing is not an identity. Okay. It's a thing that happened. And guess what? Get back up and try again. So if I was to go back in time, I would just remind myself of that. I would just say, look, it's going to be hard. You're going to have things not work out. Everything, by the way, that didn't work out, wasn't supposed to work out.
Right.
God closes doors when he's supposed to close doors, and I allowed him to. But I didn't handle it well when it happened.
Right.
Man, something's wrong with me. Nothing's wrong with you. You have to say, man, if you get let go from a job or something's tough or whatever, get yourself back up again, believe in yourself. Don't quit on you.
Yeah.
So I would just change just some of the fundamental things and controlling my emotional state. You need to stay calm and level and be in the moment and handle it and don't overreact, because when you overreact, and I have, it always ends up bad.
Right.
There's no sense in
And
that.
we were just talking yesterday actually about The Undercover Billionaire. We both watched that. A lot of
Yeah.
people have. And even watching billionaires, these are 3 billionaires that get thrown into this deal, and now they're failing every single day for 90 days off and on, building up a business, and you see their emotional state through the whole thing, and you're like, whoa, this is
They go through it.
it's the same as us.
Yeah.
But it's a skill set, and they built that because not
Totally.
everyone's born with that. And you've
Emotional
built
resilience.
that. And so, yeah, that's huge. Absolutely.
Yeah, and if you look at that, there was moments where I was like, holy crap. I would have folded.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
At the time when I watched, I was like, oh man, I would have just folded.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? It didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
And they process it. They give themselves a few minutes. And guess what? They give themselves a few minutes.
Yes.
And then they're on to it.
On to the next
because
thing.
they have to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's really it on that. And you know, the rest of it, you know, I'd pick the same wife. I'd pick the same business partner.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't change any of that.
Same industry.
I'd go back and, you know, protect and give some information to someone I cared about to protect its health, if I could, but it doesn't work that way. And life doesn't work that way. And you roll with it, and you learn from it, you get better from it, and you understand that life is very purpose-filled, and that every single thing that we do is for a reason, and there's a consequence to every decision we have,
Yep.
good or bad, there's a consequence, right? And I probably would have not had some of those consequences if I would have, you know, been ahead of it. But that's part of life, right?
It is.
Again, you learn.
Yep.
And one thing I was always really good at, and I'd still be really good at, is I was really good at learning from it. If I did it, like, ooh, that's bad. But let's not do it again,
Right.
because that wasn't good.
No.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So this was good,
Yeah,
man.
man.
This is one of those things where, you know, next time I said when we get on this podcast, I'm gonna ask you these sort of questions, and I want everyone to get to know you, because I want people to really see what we've come from,
Yeah.
how we got there, and what we've learned now,
Wow.
and really understand that the road was rocky.
Yep. I
And not
appreciate
easy.
you, man. And it was good to hear all this, even for me, because I know all of this, but
Yeah.
hearing it again and in a different way is always nice. And I'm sure that the audience is going to love that story,
Yeah.
because a lot of people that watch us and study what we're doing, they're in the same boat, or they can relate to a lot of what you
Sure.
said. So that's going to help them tremendously. And, you
Yeah.
know, we just, I'm sure they appreciate you.
That's what this is about, man. This is
doing that.
about helping other people, collaborating, and just giving without expectation. And the reason I do that and we do that is because we care. And
Absolutely.
I'm empathetic to that. I've been in a place where I needed help and didn't always have it. And I've also been in a place where I needed help and got it. So
Absolutely.
I know what that kind of impact can be. So guys, you know, we're going to wrap it up here. Please follow, share what we, you know, we push out on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Every single thing is to connect with the right people and help the right people at the right time. Okay. And I know we're going to do that. We have a huge goal for it. But make sure to like and subscribe to our channels. And guys, we'll see you on the next one. Onward and upward.
All right. Sounds good,
See
man.
ya.